randoms keep getting jobs. Don't worry about it. I'm going to say, I can't wait to say it. I love it. I love it. Go.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the Not Bland Show, and I'm your host, Dujane Bland, and welcome to 2025. And what a way to kick it off. We're going to have two great guests tonight. One from who will be up first from Nitecast Media, a great dude, does excellent work on both the sports and the entertainment side. Mr. Nick Hamilton will be on first, and then we'll have the guy who blocked the cheerleader from getting hit by the ball. He works for Bowie TV, is also with Legacy Sports Media, my guy Darrell Owens, on in the second half. And it's going to be a great show. We're going to talk some NFL playoffs. We're going to get Nick's opinion on the college football playoffs and maybe what can be improved. And, of course, like, share, tell a friend to tell a friend, subscribe to the show. Every subscription means a lot when it comes down to sponsors. I want to thank Everything Nitro for being on board. And, of course, our sponsor, Drag Race Bracket Bonanza. It is 2025. We will have them on to talk about what is new with 2025 here soon. We are happy to have them on board for 2025 as well. And get signed up. Let's do it. Let's start doing it now. And this is how you can get it done. And right after, we'll have Nick Hamilton.
Drag racing fans, check out Drag Race Bracket Bonanza. It's the free, family-friendly fantasy bracket game. Now, after final qualifying at every national event, you can fill out your bracket for all the pro classes.
It's free, easy to click on your picks. If you need some help, just hit the randomizer button to fill in the blanks. It's for fun, stay engaged, and pick your winners today.
And like I said, without further ado, he is from Nitecast Media. He does sports and entertainment. My guy, Nick Hamilton, how's it going, brother? Thanks for coming on the show.
Hey, man, how you doing? I'm good. Happy 2025 to you.
Yes, man. Happy 2025. I know great things are ahead for you. Man, you do excellent work. Really appreciate all the things you do. You're one of the guys that I kind of watch and take notes to better myself. So I really appreciate the work that you do out there in the sports and entertainment world.
Thank you, man. I appreciate that. And thank you again for having me on, man.
Man, I tell you, this football season has been quite interesting. We'll start with your team, the Rams, before we ask you about the AFC. The Rams, a team that I thought everybody kind of had a feeling that maybe they would stumble. Had some injuries early on the offensive side of the ball. Sometimes the defense didn't look like it used to without Aaron Donald. But my guy, Sean McVay, finds a way to get it done. They're going to play a team that has been stout. I think it's taken a little bit too much heat for the Lions game. I think they went into the Lions den and got jumped on. What kind of chance do you think the Minnesota Vikings and the Rams have against the Minnesota Vikings in this up-and-coming wild card game?
I mean, I think there is a chance. I mean, anytime in the playoffs, I mean, anything could happen. If certain teams that don't execute a proper way defensively or offensively, it could come down to the last play or two where you have to make get a first down, keep the drive alive, things of that nature. I mean, anything could happen. Hopefully no one gets hurt because you don't want to see anybody get hurt. You want to have everybody healthy as possible to be able to compete at a high level. But I don't think that the Rams will win over the Minnesota Vikings because I just think the Vikings have that record for a reason. Now, I know the regular season is the regular season. The playoffs are a completely different season. But when I look at this Kevin O'Connell coach team, and listen, Sam Darnold, we kind of pretty much just washed him away. We was like Calgon, we say, man, take him away because we didn't believe in him.
Right.
He needed more people. We didn't believe in him. We saw what he was doing in obviously Carolina and with the New York Jets, and obviously getting with an organization like the Niners, even though he was a backup, for him to be able to see what a top-notch organization is like. And when you believe in your quarterback, when you believe in your players, these are the results that could happen. And so getting with the Minnesota Vikings, unfortunately, J.J. McCarthy going down and never even getting a chance to set foot or play a down in the NFL to a degree in the regular season was unfortunate, but it was a blessing in disguise when you look at how Kevin O'Connell has pretty much reconstructed Sam Darnold in a sense. And so when you look at Justin Jefferson, when you look at Addison, when you look at the defense, this is a complete football team. And so I said it before even Sunday happened. I'm like, look, we saw what the Buccaneers did. Obviously, they played before the Rams. The Rams had the afternoon slot here on the West Coast. The Buccaneers had the early morning slot. They won. So it was up to the Rams to either win and keep the 3 seed or lose to the 4 seed. I would have rather have the Rams won that game and maybe play their starters maybe for a half, maybe, because the 3 seed wasn't a lock. It wasn't a guarantee. It wasn't what we saw with the Kansas City Chiefs, for example, who had the 1 seed locked no matter what. When you don't have a seed like that locked, you have to compete. And it was kind of a head scratch. I know Sean McVay told us, hey, it doesn't matter where we fall. We know we're going to the postseason and we're going to play. We're going to go out there and compete. He's very confident in his players, as he should be. As you mentioned, the 1-4 start that the Rams had, they had a come to Jesus moment. And from that moment on, you saw the turnaround. I mean, guys started coming back healthy. Puka Nacua, Cooper Kupp, guys that were, top-notch offensive players, rather, were coming into the fold and really contributing in a big way. Unfortunately, Blake Corum suffered a right forearm injury. He's going to be out for the playoffs. But when I look at Kyren Williams, he's been absolutely phenomenal this year. There was a lot of expectation with him coming into the season. Even when I spoke to Marshall Faulk, when I spoke to Jerome Bettis earlier before the season got started, they had really high hopes for Kyren Williams and what he was able to perform. And he's definitely, filled in that role in a very phenomenal way. I don't expect anything less in this playoff. But when I look at it, so many storylines that come with this matchup. When you look at Kevin O'Connell coming back to SoFi, obviously being under Sean McVay for those years as offensive coordinator. You got Sam Darnold, former USC quarterback. Jordan Addison, obviously former USC wide receiver. Obviously, you can't ignore Justin Jefferson and how great he is. And this is a different Justin Jefferson that we've seen when the Rams played them earlier in the season. So it's a different team. It's a different ball game. I think it's going to be a competitive ball game. The Rams are not going to allow you to come in there on their home turf and just run roughshod over them. They're going to compete. They're going to fight. Obviously, first Pro Bowler in Jared Verse and that defense. I mean, he's been ferocious all season long, but they've been able to rotate him and be able to use him effectively, which I said they're going to have to do in order for him to have some success on that young defense. But again, it's up to Matthew Stafford. It's up to Cooper Kupp, Puka Nacua, who's continues to amaze with getting yards after the catch. And it's going to be up to that O-line especially. That's going to be the key. Can they keep Matthew Stafford upright and long enough to be able to get the ball off to his targets? That's going to be the key, because let me tell you something. The Minnesota Vikings did not come this far to have that record to just be sent home after one game. Exactly. This is why we saw the exchange between Kevin O'Connell and the Lions head coach saying, hey, we'll see you in 2 weeks, meaning, yeah, you guys go ahead out there and go ahead and beat up on the Rams, and then we'll see you in 2 weeks. Where's the lie? Right. And the Rams are going to have to prove that he is lying on Monday night at 5 o'clock. And so
it's going to be awesome, man. And two Washington offensive coordinators coming back to each other. So many storylines here. I am looking forward to that matchup. And I do think it's going to be a battle of – it's a chess match between these two guys. They kind of know each other. They know each other's offense. It's going to be really fun to see this thing play out on Monday Night Football, which is going to be incredible spot for these two teams to be in coming into the first game of the playoffs. I'll ask you one more question regarding the Rams. Do you feel like the Commanders would have been a better matchup for them, being that the Commanders would have had to come from the East Coast to the West Coast? And if we look at the Commanders' history coming out to the West Coast on a playoff, it hasn't been very favorable.
Oh, absolutely. Even though Jaden Daniels has been absolutely spectacular this year, he's Offensive Rookie of the Year in my estimation, just based upon what he's been able to do to that franchise, and not just what he's done on the field, but off the field with that franchise, and be able to spark some excitement within that new ownership group. But I think it would have been a better matchup only because of the inexperience of the Washington Commanders. You got a rookie quarterback, and it's not to say they were just going to lay down and not fight. But when I look at Matthew Stafford and the other guys that I mentioned previously, they have experience. They know what it means to be in the playoffs. They know what it means to be in the first round. Unfortunately, they had a first-round exit last year at Detroit. But they know what it means, and they know what it takes. And I think that would have been a much more favorable matchup for the Los Angeles Rams to be able to get to the second round and then be able to say, hey, you know what, we come in here with some confidence. Now we got to go ahead and beat a team that has more than likely probably beaten up on us the last few times, and see where it goes. But this is going to be a very tough matchup. If the Rams are going to have their opportunity and make their mark in these NFC playoffs, they're going to have to go through the gauntlet. They're going to have to go through Minnesota. They're going to go through Detroit. And they're going to have to go through the gauntlet and see what time it is, and test their skills. Oftentimes we can say, "Oh yeah, man, I'm out here. I'm in great shape." Okay, go out there on that track and let's go run a 40-yard dash, and let's see how you look after that 40-yard dash. If you winded by half the distance and you already winded, you ain't ready.
Not ready.
We could all talk and see, but when the rubber meets the road, you're gonna see exactly if you really are a person of your word, and really see if you're really ready for that challenge. And so it's gonna be very interesting. Like I said, the final Monday Night Football game of the year in the NFL. And it happens to be Rams and Vikings at SoFi. But I would have loved to see Jaden Daniels come out here. I'm really in awe of Jaden Daniels and what he's been able to accomplish, because I had some reservations early on. But listen, he's definitely put those to bed for sure.
Definitely. And another LA squad out there, Harbaugh's done an excellent job of kind of resurrecting this Chargers team that really was just kind of floundering with coaching, not being very good, kind of really wasting Justin Herbert as a quarterback. And they looked like they were kind of stumbling in the middle of the season there, couldn't get any offense going. And now these young guys have stepped up and started to make plays. They get J.K. Dobbins back. Houston's dealing with a lot of injuries. A lot of their big-time guys are out. This is a matchup that the Chargers can come in and with their defense, if they can continue this offensive slot, they have an opportunity to put the Houston Texans to bed.
Oh, absolutely. This is their opportunity to actually get the job done. They've had opportunities in times prior, obviously up against Jacksonville when they had the lead and pretty much tricked it off. So this is a golden opportunity. You're going to be on the road. Yes, of course. The Texans fans are going to be loud and proud no matter what's going on with the Texans. C.J. Stroud is still going to be C.J. Stroud at the end of the day. This man has the experience necessary from his rookie year to know what it means to be in the playoffs, know how to have the mentality it takes to have a different type of mindset. He understands that the deck is stacked against him. Obviously, no Tank Dell. Obviously, no Stephon Diggs due to injury. They have a few other injuries that have been lurking. I mean, this Houston Texans team is pretty much, I would say, maybe 3 losses due to injuries. If they wouldn't have had injuries, they probably would have had a much better record and probably a higher seeding. We wouldn't even be talking about this game right now.
I agree.
But it is what it is. The Houston Texans are what they are. They didn't win their division. However, they do have to face a very ferocious Chargers defense. When you look at the Pro Bowlers on this team, when you look at Derwin James Jr., who I think is absolutely phenomenal. I sing Derwin's praises from the first time he was drafted to where he's been able to mature and be able to ascend with his level of play. And I think that also has to do not just with Jim Harbaugh, but the coaching staff on the defensive side of the ball, being able to understand what his strengths are and be able to play to his strengths and allow him to be able to elevate his style of play. I look at Deion Henley, who I think has definitely come along very nicely. He should have been at least an alternate at the Pro Bowl. For him not to even get a nod at the Pro Bowl is an absolute travesty in my estimation, because that young man has been playing hard. He's been practicing hard. He's been, his head has been in the game. He's been studying film, from my understanding, every week, being dedicated to the craft, and you've seen it week in, week out. He may not have the glorified name, but Deion Henley has definitely been one of those ones who you have to pay attention to. You cannot ignore him. You cannot ignore his presence on the field, because he's going to make you pay.
Definitely.
But when I look at the offensive side of the ball, this will be Justin Herbert's first time, if he is able to capture a win, first time he gets a playoff win in his career. And it has always been a head scratcher. Is Justin Herbert really that one? He was drafted very high. Yeah, obviously, he's had a multitude of coaches, coordinators. He lost his weapons. I mean, you lost Keenan Allen. You lost guys that he was used to, that he formed relationships with, friendships with. Now they're gone. So now you have Quentin Johnson, who I said couldn't catch a cold if it sneezed in his face.
Exactly.
When you look at, he's been up and down like a stock exchange, but everybody else has pretty much been able to contribute in a significant way, from Josh Palmer to everybody else on that offense. So, Jim Harbaugh has definitely come in and changed the culture as far as getting guys to believe in themselves, putting that winning culture into their mind state, and being able to execute Sunday in and Sunday out. And listen, we already knew the Chargers weren't going to win the division. As long as Mr. Patrick Mahomes Jr. III was going to be in that division, we knew that the Kansas City Chiefs were going to win the division. But can you make the playoffs? Can you still secure a spot enough where you say, hey, I still have an opportunity to get into the playoffs, to actually win a ball game or two, and let's see where the dice roll. And I think the Chargers have done that to be able to have this opportunity against the Houston Texans. They did not want to face Mr. Lamar Jackson and the Baltimore Ravens. Hell no. You were going to get your ass handed to you handsomely if you were going to go fly to Baltimore the way that King Henry and Lamar Jackson and Andrews and Zay Flowers, and I mean the list goes on. The way that Baltimore has been rolling, and especially in the month of December, the way they were able to close out that season. So listen, they dodged a bullet, but even if they do beat the Houston Texans, they have a very, very heavy price to pay, because their next opponent will not be as merciful.
No, it's going to be a tough road. They do have a lot of momentum coming in here, and I think that favors them a lot. You're talking about the Chiefs now resting their starters. It will be 3 weeks when they hit the field. I don't necessarily care for that too much. You get the bye week for a reason. I understand people are protecting guys and don't want to get people hurt, but we've seen this backfire on a couple teams. The Eagles, it has backfired on once or twice. You see these teams that get the first round bye and they rest them in the last week of the season. Now you've got 3 weeks and you come out flat to a team that's really ascending when they get to you, and they jump on you early, and the next thing you know, you're looking up and you're like, what happened? I don't think this Kansas City team is like that, for the simple fact I think they're well coached by Andy Reid. I personally think that they have not even dug into their bag of tricks on offense. I think they've been playing around with people and doing what's been working as long as it continues to work. And I think they're going to come out with something totally new in the playoffs.
I don't think they've been playing with people. I just think when you are the champion, your bullseye gets incredibly larger, and teams are going to play you harder. Teams, they want to get a stripe off of you like they're Adidas. There's no way you're going to sit up here and say, oh, yeah, they're the champs, so we're just going to take it easy. No, we're coming in here to beat you. Even if we have no shot in West Hell of getting to the playoffs, we're going to still say, hey, we beat the champs. We're going to hang our hat on that. But I think when you talk about the rest factor, for any other team, that could be a potential problem. But when you have Patrick Mahomes dealing with that ankle situation, you got other guys that are banged up, that are key critical components to their success going through the gauntlet. The saving grace is Arrowhead Stadium is a tough place to play with that crowd, with that atmosphere. So everybody's got to come through Kansas City if you want to get to New Orleans and play for the chip. And then when you got a healthy Patrick Mahomes, give me a healthy Patrick Mahomes all day long. If Patrick Mahomes needs 2 or 3 weeks to get that ankle right, to get everything else right, obviously you're not going to be 100% regardless of how much rest you get because it's such a grueling season. But when a guy like Patrick Mahomes gets that kind of rest and gets that kind of opportunity to be able to say, okay, now we can rock and roll with the players at hand, whether it's Worthy, whether it's number 87 that you got to have on your radar at all times. It's going to be a long day at the office, whoever faces the Kansas City Chiefs. I don't care if it's the Baltimore Ravens. I don't care if it's the Buffalo Bills. It's going to be a long day. And let me tell you something. Patrick Mahomes, he's trying to make history. I mean, if we talk about Tom Brady being Jordan, then Patrick Mahomes is damn sure going to be Kobe Bryant.
For sure. I'm looking forward to seeing what they're going to do in the playoffs. Before we get to the college football question, I'll ask you real quick about Sean Payton and the Denver Broncos. They have to go to Buffalo. Buffalo's look pretty sharp without having any wide receivers. Do you think this is an opportunity, though, that a hot Bo Nix with Sean Payton, really a team that has nothing to lose, could go into Buffalo and snatch victory from Josh Allen?
No. Josh Allen out here looking like Harry Houdini. That man's out here, he looked like he out here doing magic tricks half the damn season. I mean, we thought it was a lot for him to be MVP. Now we have to put Lamar Jackson's name in there. It can go either way now. Before it was really a lot, especially midway through the season. We like, hey man, with Josh Allen, what he has and doesn't have, it could be a lock. But now not so much anymore. But that's a testament to what he's had to do rather. When it comes to, taking his team, putting his team on his back. I mean, we saw the shootout here in Los Angeles between him and the Rams were victorious by only a couple of points, but a win is still a win nonetheless. But I think the Buffalo Bills learned something from that loss, and they haven't turned back since. And I think when you're at home in Buffalo, I don't care how hot you are, you're going to get cooled off real quick. And I ain't talking about just the weather. I mean, Bo Nix has done some incredible things with the Denver Broncos. He started coming along in the latter part of the season. So I don't take anything away from Bo Nix and Sean Payton and that coaching staff, what they've been able to accomplish. But it's a tough place to play when you're going into Buffalo, because rest assured, Josh Allen did not come this far to say, you know what, we made it. They didn't expect us to make it. We're just going to, whatever happens, happens. No, Josh Allen is coming for Patrick Mahomes. He can say what he wants. Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson, they're going to win their respective games, but they're looking at Kansas City. They're looking to take that crown from Kansas City because they know Kansas City is that team that they ultimately have to beat in order to have an opportunity to win a chip, especially through the AFC. So, I'm not saying that Josh Allen's going to overlook any opponent or disrespect any opponent in that way, but we all know, I mean, come on, man, let's keep it a buck. We all know who they're gunning for ultimately, and it's number 15 in the red shirt.
For sure. They got to get some payback because he's gotten them a lot. Have sent them home with their heads in their hands a lot. So
yeah. Cancun has been very nice to certain players at certain parts of the year.
You got that right. Now, when we look at this college football playoff, personally, I know a lot of people complained about the seeding. I thought the people who got there were deserving. Of course, things always can be better. It is in its first year. First of all, what do you think of the college football playoff as it has played out? And what would be the one thing that you would change to the college football playoff?
Well, if I can answer your second question first, I think the seeding needs to be changed. I think that the committee got the actual teams correct in this 12-team playoff, which is never easy in its infancy stages of being its first year. But I think the seeding needs to be different because there was no way we should have seen a great game like Ohio State and Oregon that early in the tournament. I think that if you're going to put Oregon at 1, which they did no favors to the number 1 team in the land, I think you should have put Ohio State in the bracket with Georgia. I think you should have put maybe Texas in that bracket with Oregon, and maybe we could have saw a Texas-Oregon game, which I do believe that Oregon could have beaten Texas.
Right.
It would have been a tough matchup, no question, because that Texas defense is a very tough, ferocious defense that doesn't get enough respect that it deserves and that it's earned. So I think we could have seen something like that as a matchup. But I think the bowl matchups, the Peach Bowl, the Rose Bowl, the Sugar Bowl, I think those were great games. The Fiesta Bowl, I think those were great games. I don't take anything away from that. But now here we are in the Final Four. And I look at, Ohio State, Texas, you got Penn State, Notre Dame. And the real thing I think is the most incredible thing about this playoff that's produced is that we have for the first time, two black coaches going up against each other in a D1 playoff. And then it's guaranteed that one of those coaches is going to make a national championship and compete for a national championship, which has never happened. And it's so crazy to hear that in 2025 that we have never had a black head football coach in college compete to take his team to compete for a national title. That is just absolutely mind-boggling, but it's not surprising. It's absolutely not surprising for a multitude of reasons that I won't get into. But you and I both know, if you know, you know.
Right.
But I think it's been a fun college football playoff. I mean, I covered the entire season. I mean, from the media days to pregame to the what they call it. I don't want to say pregame, but the when they have like the teams go up against the offense against the defense.
Oh yeah, the little
color games. I call them the color games, right?
Inter squad games.
You get into the actual season and being able to travel this season to various sites and being able to be exposed to various sites and fan bases and just watching these players, evolve and develop. And you hear about an Ashton Genty, you're seeing a Shedeur Sanders and a Travis Hunter, you're seeing a Dylan Gabriel, you're seeing a Cam Ward, who ultimately I think is the number one pick as a quarterback, by the way. But anyway, but you get to see these guys, you get to see, what is USC? USC had a fantastic opening night in Las Vegas in the opening night against LSU, which was absolutely electric in that place. You saw an Oregon and Ohio State game that came down to the wire. It was only won by a point. So it was a lot of fantastic. You saw Michigan beat Ohio State for the fourth straight year. What we thought was an inferior Michigan team come down to the wire. So there have been many moments. Quinn Ewers coming in there and doing his thing and getting hurt. And then we see Arch Manning, what the future would look like for Arch Manning being at the helm. Jackson Dart and Ole Miss and what Ole Miss was able to accomplish. The falling off of Alabama. With a new head coach that wasn't named Nick Saban for the first time in umpteen years. Kirby Smart with Georgia and Carson Beck, and now he's sitting at home on his couch. Now we're not even talking about Georgia being in contention for a national championship at this point. Guys jumping in the portal, Zachariah Branch, Zion Branch now signing with Georgia. Guys moving around. So, I mean, it's been a phenomenal college football season. Going to the Rose Bowl, experiencing that. Nothing like being at the Rose Bowl at that time of the year. Now heading to the Cotton Bowl, God willing, with this weather. And watching a great matchup with Ohio State and Texas. And then being able to, a day before that, watching Penn State and Notre Dame go at it. And the phenomenal job that Marcus Freeman has done with Notre Dame after losing to Northern Illinois earlier in the season and turning that program around and really that ferocious, I'm not say ferocious, that atrocious, just stingy, dogmatic defense that Marcus Freeman has developed. I mean, and making Riley Leonard, even though I'm not high on him as a quarterback, but he's been a good game manager. He's managed the game enough not to lose it, and that's all you need. And Notre Dame has been very effective at running the ball. So, listen, I believe in Marcus Freeman. I love James Franklin and what he's done. I think he's got a bad rep. I think people in Happy Valley don't fully appreciate what he's been able to do. I know it's been a knock. Oh, he's not been able to get to the big one. He's only been able to. I mean, this man wins basically 9 to 10 games a season. You think that's easy in the Big Ten? To me, probably one of the second toughest conference. in college football.
Yeah.
And now he's got an opportunity. He's one game away from winning, getting to a national championship game. And ironically, that championship game is going to be played in Atlanta on the 20th, observing Dr. King's birthday. I mean, it doesn't get more spectacular than that. So, listen, I'm looking forward to this. I think it's going to be a great college football finale. Whoever ends up making it, I got Ohio State winning it all personally.
Me too.
They just been. I mean, Jeremiah Smith is a man amongst boys, and I know he's only a freshman, but that I even asked. I've asked Emeka. I have asked, Steve Sarkisian. I've asked quite a few people. What do you think about Jeremiah? I've even asked Maurice Claret, who I did an interview with that I'm going to be dropping soon, and he was like, "Have you seen this dude's hands?" I said, "Listen, there's only been one person's hands I've shaken that felt like they used to haul bricks in their hands, and that was the one and only the great one himself, Jerry Rice. When I shook Jeremiah Smith's hand, it reminded me of when I shook Jerry Rice's hand, and that's special.
Yeah,
the kid is amazing, man, and I'm so Travion Henderson. He's going to be a beast at the next level. He's been beasting all season, and you got to give a lot of credit to Chip Kelly. And a lot of the guys that I spoke to at Ohio State, they were telling me how creative and how open he was to being able to not just force his will, but have his experiences, have what he does best on the offensive side, but then incorporate that with kind of watching and kind of catering to some of the players to be able to play to their strengths as well. And that's why they were successful. I think that Michigan game really turned on a switch in this Ohio State Buckeyes team, where we saw against Tennessee, we saw what they absolutely demolished Oregon, the number one team in the country. And I think Texas, even though it's going to be a good game, I think they're going to end up pulling away from Texas maybe late in the second half, because on both sides of the ball, and even special teams, this Ohio State team is one of the most complete teams in college football.
Yeah. It's going to be fun. It's going to be a lot of fun. And we're going to have you back on, my man. I really appreciate you taking the time. Let everybody know where they can follow your great work at and where they can chop it up with you.
Hey, man, well, you know what? Anytime. Thank you for having me once again, man. It's always good. I appreciate what you're doing as well, man. Keep up the great work and continue success to you. You can find me at, what is it, X now? Okay, Twitter, X, at Nick Hamilton 213. You can also follow me on Instagram at Nick Hamilton LA. Also at Nitecast Media on all social media platforms: TikTok, Instagram, Twitter, NITECASTMEDIA, all one word. So there you go. And make sure you subscribe to me at YouTube at Nitecast Media TV on YouTube.
Yes. Do it all, ladies and gentlemen. He is one of the best out here. I really appreciate you taking the time, man, and you'll be back on soon.
Hopefully, man. I look forward to it, and it's gonna be busy because it's award season now too, man. So
yes, sir. Yeah, you are in full swing right now.
Man, I'm like a fat kid at a buffet.
Nick Hamilton, everybody. Thanks a lot, brother. And right after this break, we'll have on a guy who's famous, and I'll show you why right after the break. You can catch all the Talking Funny Car episodes on YouTube on the Talking Funny Car channel. It's going to be a great up-and-coming season. I do not know who they're going to have next, but who we're going to have next is a guy who did something pretty cool. He's had a couple of cool moments here on the sideline. Here's one of them.
That accounts for the 15-yard penalty. Whoa, boy.
Ouch. Cameraman tried to deflect it.
Hopefully all right, pal. Okay, we saw KP in the shot there, too, trying to maneuver now.
At least she's smiling. Ouch, those K-balls are no joke. I told you.
You were telling me about the K-ball.
He is from Legacy Sports Media, and he is the photographer for Bowie TV, covering the Washington Commanders. It is my guy, Darrell Owens. What's going on, baby?
Hey, what's up, D, man? How you been? brother? How's everything going?
Everything's going well, man. Everything's going well. Man, when I saw it, I knew it was you immediately. I didn't even have to rewind it back. I knew it was you immediately.
Look, I've been pleading my case on social media since Sunday. I tried to save her. I mean, that's
tried.
I tried. That's the best thing that I can say because I think a lot of people don't understand like exactly. Obviously, a lot of people don't understand what it's like to be on an NFL sideline.
No,
and people don't understand how fast a football can come at you, especially when first of all, how hard the football is, one, and then two, like I mean, Aubrey's one of the best kickers in the league. So he put some stank on that bad boy, and it came zooming towards the sideline.
Yeah, that was tough. I mean, you were in a tough spot, and I was like, look, he ain't dropping that camera, man. So I mean, he did the best he could. He may have dropped it for a Commander's cheerleader, but I'm just saying.
Well, it's funny because like, they always tell you keep your head on a swivel, which is what I know, which is like what I normally do. And in that scenario, I had looked down for just a second, and I looked back up as a kickoff because I was adjusting some stuff with my camera. When I looked back up, I saw the ball. Like I said, and I looked, it wasn't going to hit me. This is what I can say. It wasn't going to hit me, but I did see it like going straight towards the cheerleader. Now, the cheerleader that got hit, it was going in her direction, close to her direction, but she wasn't even the cheerleader that I was trying to protect per se. Yeah. There was another cheerleader who was right beside her, and the ball was coming straight, like they couldn't see because they're looking at the crowd. So it was straight towards her, and I said to myself, well, and this is probably all I thought in the time was if I could deflect it, knock it down, or catch it, I can stop them from getting hit because they weren't going to see it. And that's all I thought in the moment. And I wasn't going to drop my camera equipment. That's a no-go. So I, with one hand, I tried to Odell Beckham it, and, the 40 years of greatness caught up with me. I just can't do it anymore.
Hey, you did the best you could. It is what it is. You managed to deflect it. It could have been a lot worse. Kind of like that football game. But they got the dub. We're gonna start with the Washington Commanders. They play the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. We understand the history amongst this team. These two teams getting together. These are two teams that, and one of our listeners here or watchers here, Scott, he talked about the Washington Commanders being a dangerous team to be going up against. I also think Tampa Bay is a dangerous team to be going up against. This is a very evenly matched ball game.
Yeah, this is probably dangerous is the best way to put it for both of these teams. I mean, if you go back and look through the season, both of these teams have easily put up 30 points multiple times throughout the season, and 40 in some cases. And they're just so, I don't want to say evenly matched, but if whoever wins this game, I wouldn't be surprised if they win this game. That's just the feeling that I'm getting from this game. Yes, Tampa, put a little bit of a whooping on them in week one, but that Washington team was still trying to find itself and trying to figure out exactly what they're doing. Like that's right. And now with this matchup happening now, the Buccaneers are a little bit healthier than they were, a little less healthier with not having Godwin, but they're still in good shape. They've gotten better over the time. The Commanders are a little nicked up, and they've got themselves in a really good spot. It's going to be a tough one, D. Like it really is going to be a tough game. I don't know. I mean, there's so much into it. Baker's played so well. And I really do think if, the Bucs stayed healthier throughout the season, a lot of people are not talking about them as a team that could be a surprise element, throughout these playoffs. But Baker Mayfield is dangerous. When he's clicking, he's dangerous. He's a hard person to stop. And he really got a grasp of what that offense, what that team is all about. He's obviously a leader on that team. The emergence of Bucky Irvin coming through and being that piece on the ground, he's been absolutely amazing. So and then, of course, you got the future Hall of Famer Mike Evans. Mike Evans is everything you want in a receiver. Is everything you could hope for, everything you could dream of. And when they drafted him, who'd have thought that Mike Evans would be that guy? Who thought Mike Evans would be the future Hall of Famer? But all he's done is 11 plus seasons of 1,000 yards. He's done it with good quarterbacks. He's done it with bad quarterbacks. He's done it with the GOAT. So it's just an amazing thing to see. And like seeing him in week 1 when I was down there, he scored 2 touchdowns. Then he was putting on a show.
Yeah.
I just don't expect Washington to look, maybe, I'm gonna say it's bad, but look like the way they did in week 1. I don't expect that in this game.
I don't either. With the covering the NFL and with a focus on the NFC South for Sports Journey, I've had the opportunity to see these teams, in both them and Atlanta. And to me, they both remind me of each other. The biggest problem with both of these teams is that they tend to have the mental lapses like we saw against a team that they're way better than and have way more firepower than the New Orleans Saints. No way that the Saints should have been up in that fashion at the half. And if they could have finished a ball game, they would have put them away and really made it pretty interesting for them and the Atlanta Falcons as far as the playoffs go. But this defense is very good at stopping the run. They are atrocious at stopping the pass. And that's what the Commanders are good at. And then vice versa, they're stopping the run. The Commanders haven't been that great at running the football. And on the other side, they haven't been, as far as Commanders have not been great stopping the run, but they're great at stopping the pass. That's where it gets it's going to be very interesting to see which defense can finally step up. When I watch the Commanders, as we do cover them also at Sports Journey, we look at the second half of the Eagles game, look at the third quarter of the Atlanta game, and they have the ability to shut teams down. When you look at Joe Witt Jr., and I know he's taking some heat, I've given him a little flack as well. Do you think they were just trying to get out of here and try to maintain and not necessarily, get injured or do anything too much, and just if we can get the win, get moving, when we get to the playoffs, we'll have Marshawn Lattimore and we'll be able to do a little bit more when it comes down to playoff time?
Yeah, I think they wanted to get healthy going into it. I mean, I'm not going to say that Marshawn could have probably played this week. I guess if he fought through it, he probably could have. But
yeah,
you bring in a Marshawn Lattimore for these moments that are about to come up. We're about to see him versus Mike Evans one more time. And I think everybody that is a fan of football is going to be excited to see that matchup. And in the 2 games that we did see Marcus in a Commanders uniform, he was phenomenal. He did get a pass interference in the Eagles game, but that's a judgment call. If you went back and watch it, the Saints wouldn't even throw in his direction. They knew better. They was like, "No, we're not." They was like, "Why would we put ourselves in that position right now?" But I think Joe Witt and that team, I think their biggest thing, like you said, is they're going to have to find a way to be a little bit better at the run. And the pass game has, for the most part, except for when St. Juice has had his moments, God bless him, he fights hard, God. But it just I think sometimes when you get a rep in the league and he's like, if it looks like it's pass interference and St. Juice is on there, even no matter what,
he's gonna
be like, he did it. And that's happened to him a lot this year, unfortunately. But when they're playing well, they're especially on those cornerbacks and Mikey, Sarenstill has been amazing this year. I mean, definitely in play for Defensive Rookie of the Year. He may not have the numbers, but he definitely passes the vision test.
Yeah.
That's something that a lot of people, he probably won't get the love he deserves on that, but he's had a really good year. Quan Martin has had a really good year, low key. And, Jeremy Chin has been everything they needed in the defensive backfield, the veteranship, the leadership that he's brought along. The defense played so iffy those first 3 games, but they've been pretty solid since then. They've had some slight moments, but they've been pretty solid since about week 3, week 4. Yeah. And if that defense shows up on Sunday, the one that we know that they can be, they got a chance to win this one. I mean, it's a hard one to call, though. If I had to be honest with you, I'm still kind of like calculating in my head how I want to go with this.
Yeah, me too. I'm going to give you guys some things here. We have some Bucs fans here, and I'm going to go into my NFC South mode really quickly here. And these are plays that concern me for Washington. This is one of these plays where if you are not maintaining proper gap responsibility and you want to get and try to be a hero in the moment, he does things like this. And this guy, Jalen McMillan, has really come on for this football team and really been a weapon for them. I mean, look at the toe drag swag on that. Great ball by Baker Mayfield, but the toe drag swag is just tremendous. But we also know how great this Commanders team is, and they have baby Jesus at quarterback here that's pretty much put this city on his back. And this is some of the things that I believe the Commanders need to get back to, the quick game. This has worked very well for Jaden to try, and it worked well in this game to try to get them started in that first game. They've done an excellent job of the quick game and really getting the slants off, getting it out of his hands. This right here, though, is something you cannot game plan for. And we know when the game is on the line and when he needs to make a play, he's going to do that. And it's not something that he's looking to do. He's always got his eye downfield looking for Scary Terry and the like, but he's going to make plays with his feet. This right here is the X factor. I need this man to show up. They got to find a way, and I believe the whole entire starting offensive line will start this weekend, whether they're banged up or not. I think they will go, but they've got to get this man going. He is not a guy that is shifty. He is a downhill type of runner. He needs to have the holes to get through, and when you want to have some shiftiness, well, guess what? It's this man right here. Not that guy, but this guy right here. Austin Eckler is the guy who you need to get involved in this game, inside the passing game. You want to have a little shiftiness in the run game. That's how they're going to win this ball game. It's going to be a fun one to watch. I'm with you. I don't have a pick.
That's probably the toughest part because like for me, I've been debating it because I got to do my show this week and I've been sitting there like, well, where do I go with this? But I agree with you on a couple points. The B-Rob that we saw those first 5-6 weeks of the season where 7 touchdowns, he was out here killing it. He hasn't been the same guy since he had the injury.
Yeah.
And so they've, like you said, they've got to find a way to get him back. But they also need Austin Eckler from Cincinnati. And so that if you remember, like Austin Eckler was doing some really good things in that Cincinnati. He's done good things throughout the season.
Yeah.
The Cincinnati game, he's scoring a touchdown. He had some really good kick. He was doing kick return and stuff at the time. I don't know if they're going to put him back in that situation to an extent with Luke McCaffrey kind of coming through and doing some good things there, him and McNichols. So they may stay that route to keep, Eckler healthy or, and maybe not put him in, certain situations. But those two are going to be critical.
Yeah,
Chris Rodriguez has had some really good, runs, and he was tough in some games this year when he had to come in relief. They've got the running game that can do it. It's just it all has to come together at once. You make a good point about the offensive line being fully intact. Them not having Tyler, and I hate saying his last name, so I just call him Tyler Badass.
Yeah,
you can tell the last couple of games they missed him dearly. Like the games that he hasn't played in the last couple of weeks, they missed him dearly. Because in this game against Dallas this past weekend, they were getting tremendous pressure up the middle, and it was putting Jaden in very bad spots. Yep. They need him. And ever since he had the illness a couple of weeks ago, he hasn't been quite the same. So hopefully he'll be ready to go on Sunday because they're going to need that running game is the running game, the pass game. You don't realize how much you need him until he's not there. And the other guy good. Dieter did the best he could, but he's not Tyler Badass. And that's for a reason.
I agree. That's why he's there. It's going to be a fun game, a proper game to be on Sunday Night Football. Both teams have done a solid job, and for Washington to be in this position, it's just exciting for the fan base. Being a Washingtonian, this is cool. This reminds me, gives me the nostalgia feeling of in the 90s as a kid, and this team winning. The city seems to be coming back together in that fashion, and it's fun to see that. Green Bay Packers, your team here, going against the Philadelphia Eagles. Look, I like this matchup, and I think this is not the matchup that Philly wants to see. And I'm going to say it here. I've said it all season long. I think the Philadelphia Eagles are fraudulent. Nick Sirianni is the coach. Kellen Moore is the offensive coordinator. And Kellen Moore likes to get cutesy along with his sidekick, Nick Sirianni. And I think we see everybody's concerned about, oh, Watson's not there. Well, Watson wasn't doing much when he was there. And that's not being mean. That's calling a spade. They got more done as a Packers offense without that man than they have with him. The key starts with the run game. They have to get the run game going. It's going to be imperative that this man gets going. This one right out of the read option. This play was right out of the read option. His shiftiness, his ability to run, these things create a lot for Jordan Love in the play action game. And when you've got that play action game going, ladies and gentlemen, this is what happens. He lights you up deep. He lit up the Cowboys last year. Everybody's like, oh, there's no way they go in Dallas and do this. No way. I think they do. I think they have an excellent shot to come in here and shock a team that, may not be expecting this. Do a Dallas again in Philly. And I don't take nothing away from that Bears game. That Bears game just pissed a lot of Packers off in that locker room. They have something to prove coming in to this football game on January 12th.
Yeah, I agree. I think, so I think the thing that bothers me about this Green Bay team the most, and I love them because, you're the youngest team in football back-to-back years, and you've made the playoffs back-to-back years. Now, you've improved. You went from 9-8 last year to 11-6 this year. So you get a little bit better each year. It's in a very tough division in the NFC North. If you'd have told me that the Packers would have went 11 or 11-6 or 12-5, depending on where they would have went, and they finished third in the division, I'd be like, nah, I don't think that. But who thought that Minnesota was going to be as good as they've been? And I knew the Lions were going to be tough. But my biggest thing with Green Bay is this: they sometimes play reckless, and it's like Jordan Love. You get two versions of Jordan Love. Sometimes you get the Brett Favre version of Jordan Love.
Yeah.
Sometimes you get the Aaron Rodgers version of Jordan Love. And sometimes I just want him to be Jordan Love. But when you get those, you'll make the thread the needle play. You'll be like, God, this guy is ready to be the next superstar in the league, maybe a future MVP down the road. And I think if you go back and look at the games before these last two losses, that little stretch they had, what they did was they made Jordan they had to reel him in a little bit. They played it safe to an extent, and they kind of took the game out of his hands a little bit. But I think that was on purpose to kind of get him kind of reel back in, because he was making some mistakes in games, and they were still finding ways to win just because of pure talent. But they were making mistakes in games where, he's throwing the ball where he shouldn't, and he was like top 5. If not, he might be leading the league in interceptions. I'm not even gonna sit there and act like I don't remember, but he was up there in those first couple of weeks of the season.
Right.
So taking care of the football is big for them.
Yeah.
The defense has improved immensely. Xavier McKinley has come in and been exactly everything they wanted in the defensive backfield. And those pieces have been critical. Not having Jair Alexander is going to hurt, but he's not there most of the time. He's a player that is like, okay, well, we need you here. You're not there. He's always nicked up. So they could beat this Philadelphia team. They definitely could. They should have beat them in week 1.
I agree.
But they gave the youthfulness of this team, in my opinion, have cost them in those games that they've lost this year. Yeah. And the biggest complaint about the Packers is they don't have enough veterans. They have one guy on the team that's 30 years old. Everybody else is in their 20s. They have no vets whatsoever. And I think you need those vets when you're trying to make these playoff runs. You need those guys that have been there before. Now, granted, yes, these teams are now this team has already at least had one, playoff stint, but you still need those guys that have just been in the league a while, and they don't have that. So yes, can they win this game? By all means. If they want to make a deep run, I think at some point, in this tenure and the Love tenure, they're going to have to get some more veterans. They're going to have to get more pieces. I as much as I want to see them win Sunday, I don't know if they do that or not. I still think Philly is going to pull it off on Sunday. being at home, and I don't know. It's just the vibe. I hope I'm wrong. I want to be wrong. You know how I feel about it. I want to be wrong. So, but I don't know. I mean, Philadelphia, they went and decided to get, rest up a little bit. You bring, don't let Saquon go for the record, which I still think that's going to bite him at some point. Because I think that even as an organization, you want that, and you want to say, hey, we have the all-time lead, single season leading rusher on our, we had him on our team that season. You can't even say that. For me, they can find a way to slow down Saquon, which is not going to be an easy task. But if you can slow him down, they can beat them. And then we don't even know if Jalen's going to play on Sunday. He's still in concussion protocol. He took in that Washington game, the way his head hit the ground, I was a little concerned. He got back up. I think he'll play. I think it's more some, gamemanship right now with it, though. He's still in protocol. I think it's the same thing Washington did a couple of weeks ago when they was, Jalen doesn't play. They knew.
Exactly.
They know he's going to play. I don't see him not playing. It's the playoffs. Even though I will give Kenny Pickett some flowers, like he came in and played well. Like he really did play well while they were out. And I heard fans like, well, if Jalen was playing, we would have won. You probably would have won with Kenny.
Right.
When they were playing Washington, you can't give up 36.
Exactly.
You were about 20, about 2 touchdowns. So
exactly.
Yeah, it's gonna be a good game, though. I really do think it's gonna be a good game.
Definitely.
Hope they pull it.
Yeah, I do too. I just think Philly's been a little bit on the arrogant side with things, and I think they're overlooking the deficiencies that they have. And I believe in this game, there's going to be a conscientious effort to make sure that 26 is not breaking off 60-yard runs. So it's going to put the ball back in Jalen Hurts' hands. And when the moments have been big, he has not been. And that's not a knock against him. He's great talent. But women line, men line numbers don't. So I think there's a really good possibility here that all this home field advantage, all this security blanket might get ripped from underneath of them early. And if they can do that early and get this team reeling, I think it's going to be a tough sledding. I think we're going to see another Dallas Cowboys where they get punched in the mouth and they're like, what the heck just happened? And by the time they figure it out, it's too late.
I will take it. I'm not going to sit there and act like I don't want it. I would love to see it. Then you had to deal with Detroit in the next round, but in due time. Look, in due time. I'm not worried about it. Exactly. That's another team that Green Bay can beat. And I'll say this, that I know we got to move on, brother, but I'm telling you, like, the Green Bay, the teams they lost to this year, minus Chicago. I don't even count Chicago because that's the end of the season, whatever. Right. But those other 5 games that they lost, Eagles, and then the Vikings and the Lions twice, in those games, maybe except for the first Lions game, but all of those games, they were in the game or either had the lead, had a chance to win it, and the youthfulness, until I was blue in the face, they just could not pull it off based off of that. So, I mean, we'll see. We'll see.
Last one real quick, team up the road, Baltimore, playing Pittsburgh again. I don't think Pittsburgh has a chance. They looked awful in their last 2 games. They needed that game and could not pull it off. I think Russ is overthinking things in the big moments. That's costing them. I think, everybody is probably going to put it on the coach, Tomlin, but this isn't on him. I think this rests at the feet of Russ. And this is just a team that we already know what they're capable of offensively. But that moving Hamilton back to safety has made all the difference in the world for that defense. And once they've done that, this defense all of a sudden changed and became a little bit more stiff and a lot more dangerous when it comes down to stopping the run and being opportunistic in the passing game.
Yeah, I think if you're a Pittsburgh fan right now, you're in panic mode. And when you go back and look at the fact that they were 10-3, they were 10-3. They had the division lead. They had everything in the palm of their hand. Now, a lot of people also say, well, you look at the beginning part of the season, and the schedule was definitely in their favor at the beginning part of the season. That last 8 games, boy, they had a road of – they played every playoff team that's in there. I feel like they played a playoff team every week, and they did not succeed in the majority of those playoff games, which is not a good sign.
No.
I love Mike Tomlin. I love, what he's been able to do as a head coach in this league, and any team would be glad to have him. I think when you're the Pittsburgh Steelers and you've, 2 Super Bowls in that time frame, but it's been 15 years since you've been there. The rumor, the noise is going to get a little bit louder and louder and louder. Even though I don't think they should mess with him.
Right.
You lose this game to a rival in the playoffs and lose 5 straight games. Don't be surprised if some moves are made. And I don't want to see it happen, because I like when I think Pittsburgh Steelers, at least in our generation, or, the second wave of our generation, the first half, maybe we thinking Bill Cowell, but the second half of our lives where we've, we know Tomlin, he's Steeler football. And now you hear stuff today talking about, well, the Bears are interested in trading for him, which, I mean, look, if I'm the Bears, you go do that.
Yes.
So if you're Pittsburgh in this one, you got to find you need this one, at least even for Tomlin's sake, you need this one. But the way they've backed into into this playoff, these 4 straight losses, the Chiefs game was ugly, and they just didn't compete. They just didn't compete at all after like the second quarter. It was ugly.
Yeah.
And the game this week, and as Love, and I'm going to destroy his name, but Pat my man Pat F. We're gonna pat my man.
Yeah.
Pat. He's usually sure-handed, and him dropping that ball is just,
that was huge.
The energy in that stadium, you could hear the air just suck right out of the stadium, and they need it as a franchise. I think they need it, and if they don't get it, Lamar and them, it'll be definitely a confidence booster before they, potentially make their way up to, potentially make their way up to Buffalo. I ain't gonna put nothing past the Broncos. They've been playing some tough football. So,
yeah.
I like it. It's going to be a gritty matchup, because every time the AFC North play each other, the score is 9-5 or 14-11. I'm like, where are you getting these scores from? Game on Saturday,
baseball scores.
Yeah, man. So it's gonna be a weird score. So, like, if you're a FanDuel person or betting, they got the little corner things, and it's like, I want pick that one. Why? Because we're talking about Ravens and Steelers, AFC North. It is gonna be a weird score, brother. It's gonna be a weird.
I agree. That right now what we're seeing from Lamar is crazy. And right here against the Steelers, throwing dots on the sideline. This is where they become a problem, and that's Isaiah Likely. That's not Andrews. That's Isaiah Likely. And then Bateman has come on. The Tifton, Georgia native, has come on big time here, and really made some plays when they needed it. And when you got this guy running the rock, and he's run the rock really easily against them, they got a choice to make, and you don't want to get in a shootout with these guys. We know that at times, though, Lamar can make some, and the team loses focus a little bit, I call it. But I think they are uber focused on making sure that he gets some payback on Pat Mahomes and make that thing all the way to the AFC Championship game. So Pittsburgh's got a tough one to build here, and they had to look good. This could be one of these ones that it could be ugly, or this could be a slugfest where both guys' eyes are almost closed, and it goes 12 rounds, and we end up with the score of 13-8.
Right, I'm telling you, that's what happened. Look, but I will say this, looking, if I'm the Ravens, obviously everybody's going to talk about Lamar and all this stuff, but I really think this is Derrick Henry's chance.
Yes.
To truly, I mean, he's a Hall of Famer. We're not going to sit and act like he's not. But I think this could be the playoffs if everything goes right for them. This could be iconic for Derrick Henry. I mean, when he is going, it's going to be a masterpiece. He's a great cold weather back. And so, you're going to deal with a little coldness this weekend. Then, if you go to the next round, you're going to Buffalo. Ain't nobody trying to hit Derrick Henry in no Buffalo weather.
Heck no.
And then you go to Kansas City, which could be a little cold itself, being in the Midwest. This is his time to shine. And they brought him in for this reason, to take pressure off of Lamar. And Lamar's just getting better and better. You know, like you said, with Bateman starting to come along, like they made him a top pick a couple years ago for this reason. He's starting to click now. You know, Flowers a little nicked up, but Flowers making the Pro Bowl, just good things that the team is just starting to they've had a little rough patch in the middle, but they're starting to click now. This is their time. They need to just play Ravens football. And last thing I'm gonna say about it, AFC Championship game last year. I don't know what Todd was thinking.
I'm telling you,
I do not know what he was thinking. But do not, Todd. This is my warning to you, Todd Monken. Please do not go away from what you guys do best. You did that last year, and it cost you a trip to the Super Bowl. Don't do that this year. Play Ravens football. You play Ravens football, sky's the limit.
Yep, I agree. It's run Derrick Henry.
Run
Derrick Henry. Run Derrick Henry. You want to wear that defense out. You want to wear every defense that you're going to face out. And he's a load. Nobody wants to tackle this guy in cold weather. And he's going to make it very difficult. He's going to be an angry runner because you know what? They didn't really use him a whole lot during the season. They used him in spots where they needed it. And he's 100% fresh. That's dangerous. And I don't want to be any of those guys on the opposite side of the ball that have to tackle this guy. Nah.
Parts of it.
I'd rather do something else.
There's got to be some things to do in life than try to tackle Derrick Henry.
Yeah, like go to Cancun.
Yeah, they might go to Cancun after this game.
You got that right.
They just got to figure it out, man. I mean, it'll be fun. I'm excited about the playoffs this year. I think they got some really, they got some decent matchups. Minnesota and LA is going to be a good matchup.
Oh yeah, definitely.
I think that they picked a good game for a Monday night game.
Yes.
It's all setting up for a nice solid playoff run.
Indeed. I'm excited. And Darrell, let everybody know where they can follow you at and where they can catch your show and where they can chop it up with you.
Well, if you look on the internet, I guess I'm everywhere right now. So definitely wasn't part of the plan. Go viral. First of all, to go viral twice this year was not.
I know.
And for two, here's the thing: nobody has correlated the first viral with the second, and I'm good with that. That is just fine with me. Nobody's that I know of, but I know there's some internet warriors out there. They haven't put it side by side yet.
Yeah.
I appreciate you. But yeah, you can find me, of course, on Instagram, on X/Twitter. I'm never call it X, Twitter. And you can find me on there at DLO_Legacy. You can find me on Facebook at Darrell Owens Sr. And then the LegacyMaker Sports Network. That's LegacyMaker SPN on Twitter, but LegacyMaker Sports on pretty much on every other platform. Of course, the amazing Bowie Television with my girl Candy Waller. We out here trying to do our best covering the Commanders. Excited about this, my first ever playoff game this weekend. I am very excited. Been covering this team now since 2017. So unfortunately didn't get a chance to do it in 2020 when the pandemic, there was a whole different dream going on.
I know, man.
Excited to see what playoff football it looks like, what the energy is going to be like in Tampa. But yeah, man, if you can go follow me on there. Don't look for me on the sidelines this week, y'all. I'm wearing a mask. I will be hiding. I don't have time to go viral once again.
Exactly.
I'm behind somebody. I don't have time for it.
Right. You had enough this year.
Any Buccaneers cheerleaders. I'm sorry, Buccaneers cheerleaders. I'm not. If the ball come your way, you getting hit.
Yep. Oh, man. I appreciate it, Darrell. And, I wish I could go to Tampa. I'm not doing that. Got too much stuff going on. We got too much stuff going on here with the Not Bland Show and getting things together for 2025. But I am planning on making some more games in 2025 season. So you will be seeing me on the sideline here in this upcoming season here. So I'm going to be excited about that. And, man, keep doing your thing. Really appreciate y'all at Bowie TV. I'm always rocking with y'all. Going to rock with those who rock with me. And I'll be talking to you to have you back on again during the playoffs.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure. I mean, I think between the Ravens and the Commanders, we're gonna figure that thing out here in the next week.
Yes, sir. You got that right. Yes, sir. All right. Until next time. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, brother.
Darrell Owens, everybody, and thank you guys for tuning in. It's been a great show. So much great football going on. College football is going to be doing their thing. I want to thank family members. Kendra is in the building. My guy, Real Lil show from it's called It's Not 1999 Anymore. Great show. Sarita Adams, family in the building. I appreciate you guys for dropping in, checking out what the old man is doing here with Sports Journey. Thank you so much. And look, enjoy your football games. As you know, I cover the NFC South, emphasis there, but I do cover the NFL. I do cover the Commanders. Super excited for both teams. It's going to be fun. It's going to be a lot of fun. I'm taking the Commanders, though. Just let you know, taking the Commanders. I don't know what the score's going to be. Don't really care. Just win. Sports Journey for everything Nitro for Drag Race Bracket Bonanza. This has been another great episode of the Not Bland Show. Before we get out of here, I want to tell you one thing I would change about the college football deal. It's simple. Start the playoffs the very next week. Having that layoff gave teams 3 weeks who had the first round bye, and I think it showed up in the games. So just start like the NFL does. After the end of the season, you go right into the playoffs, and everything will be fine. Well, ladies and gentlemen, thank you. And until next Tuesday, you guys have a great week and good night.